Well, hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Great Northern Sexcast. Kelly Guest here with Colleen Bertino. Hey, Colleen.
Good morning. We're here for 13. I like 13. See, I don't think it's unlucky.
No.
I think it's a spectacular number.
My sister chose the 13th for her wedding day of the month in which she married because it's a lucky number in their family that she married into. So
I think that's wonderful because now it has this wonderful association at all times.
Absolutely. No triskaidekaphobia there. So you brought in some crew members today. Who do we have?
I have Sarah, who does all of our internet stuff and makes me look good.
Okay.
And Tara, who has one of the hardest jobs in the office because everyone keeps telling her what to buy, but she has a budget. So we have a new rule that says when we win the lottery, we get everything. But no, this is Tara.
Hello. Hey, Tara, that has got to be the most amazingly difficult thing to do is to narrow it down, isn't it?
It's incredibly difficult, yes, because you want to buy everything, and we can't possibly carry everything out there.
Yeah. How did you, just out of curiosity, and I have questions for Sarah as well, but I'm just curious, how did you move into the buying realm? Is that where you came from?
No, I actually worked for the company for a long time, and the previous buyer left to do other things, and I had been working under her for probably about 8 years, and they offered me the job.
Okay. Yeah.
She knew how to use the computer.
Oh, way to feel loved, huh,
No,
Sarah?
I'm teasing. No, but she knew, she had been in there and known what was happening in the buying and what we had had for a long time. Because there were times when stuff would come in. I'm like, how long have we had this? I said, like 2 years. I go, oh.
Right. And you'd see, I worked in the warehouse, so I saw what came in and what went out and what people were ordering from the stores more and less.
Yeah, and answering questions when the store clerks would call in. She's going to pick up the phone. Okay,
Right.
Actually, Sarah's going to pick up the phone. She's giggling. She goes, yes, I pick up the phone like 90% of the time.
So did you sort of develop your awareness of trends and the ability to forecast and everything else by watching kind of historically kind of what came and went?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And there are different trends over the years, but there are certain items that just will always, always sell. So I try and get more of those style of items. There are certain sections that have grown over the years, like Colleen has talked about anal in the past. Mm-hmm. And
Comes
our
up
anal
every
section.
week.
I know.
Every week.
Well, it's
popular.
in Cosmo this week.
Okay.
This month. It's hysterical.
It is, and over the years it's just grown, so that our section of anal toys is larger than it's ever been.
Okay, so we'll get a little bit more into that in just a second. Sarah, when I love Colleen's technical title that she gave you, she does internet stuff. What exactly does that mean?
Well, there's a few things that I do. Anytime an order comes in through our website, I ship those out.
Okay,
and I also help put new items on and take items off, and I also take care of the graphic needs. And like whatever Colleen has in her brain, I try to make that printable.
I hope you get paid a lot of money for that. A lot of money, because there's a lot in that brain.
Yes, she has a lot of ideas, a lot of good ideas. I try to.
Did you do our logo for the Sexcast?
I did.
I love that.
Thank you.
That is so cute.
That was all Colleen's idea. I just tried to get it out there.
Yeah, one of the things she does is she figures out, we have a certain, software that we use for the website, and just trying to figure out how it works and what pictures need to go in and sizing it and just having the right software to do everything. Like, I don't know how to do that. I can barely copy and paste.
Yeah.
And she's making the site look good. She's like, well, you should bold this and do this. And I'm like, yeah, you do that.
Knock yourself
she
out.
just makes it look good all the time.
That's awesome. Well, for those of you just joining the Great Northern Sexcast, brought to you by Fantasy Gifts, and Colleen, what is your official title? Are you like the CEO or what are you?
Well, I always the COO, Chief Operational
COO.
Officer. I need something to put on paperwork.
Right.
I mean, a family business. I mean, I think I said, I'll be the president today. I mean, I know legally I think I'm the COO, but I pretty much do it all. I also, chief, it needs to be cleaned. I think I will mop it or dust it or take out the garbage too.
So you're the janitor too.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. COO and janitor. I like it. Well, I just wanted to, we haven't done this in a long time, and because we've had so many, we're on our 13th episode now of the Great Northern Sexcast here on the Alive and Social Network. And I think it's worth revisiting exactly what this show is, because we're all over the map, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, there were so many topics that were like, okay, is it going to be about the news of the day or what's popular in Cosmo? I mean, we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've done everything from very specific shows about sexual trends and actual toys and things like that. We've had I think one of my favorite shows was Mrs. Sin, about the swinging lifestyle. Coming up in next week, we're going to have the Sexpert, and she is a blog columnist, and her name is Contessa, and she is pretty amazing. And that is an episode that we actually recorded at the Gay 90s. So we'll be releasing that one next week. It'll be pretty fun. Looking forward to that. But I can't wait for this one because this is your baby. A week after, April 7th, we're having special guest April Tripiano. I think I'm hoping I say it right. She is really cool. She's got an ebook out there about tantric business.
Yeah, it was an article that we had sort of found, and then I had a friend help me, locate her. And it's how you can apply tantric principles to business. And just, to
Interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading through the synopsis, I'm like, well, that makes sense, and that makes sense, and that makes sense. And so I said, well, let's get her on, so we could talk about just different things because we've talked about the business aspect of the business.
Sure. And it's a great business. And she called me actually yesterday, and I'm going to do. She's also a business coach and things like that. And so I'm actually going to do a coaching session with her prior to, so I can get a little bit of exposure. But she's going to come on live. She's going to be a great interview. I could tell by talking to her on the phone. So that's coming up on April 7th. So I know that you guys just got back, or Tara, right?
And Sarah.
Okay, so where'd you go? What happened?
Fort Lauderdale, and I can't talk about everything.
Okay. Otherwise, you'd have to kill us, or what? I mean,
no. We went to a show in Fort Lauderdale for 4 days, 3 nights, and saw a bunch of new stuff, and went to some seminars, and it pretty much is like your adult toy trade show.
Okay. No, what's really fascinating about that is that I like the part where I don't pay for it because there our distributor will fly folks down and that can make the decisions. That's Tara. And there'll be seminars by the various manufacturers of the items that they carry. And what's really they are pretty much booked up from the moment they get there to the moment that they leave. But I did encourage them at one point. I did text them and saying, "Have there been cocktails yet?" So yes,
1 or 2 cocktails.
You're in Fort
Maybe
Lauderdale.
2.
Have a mojito.
So, I just wonder if with all the years that you've spent in the business, and this is a question to everybody in the room, do you ever get surprised at these things, Tara?
Every once in a while. I do a lot of research before I go, so I know what I want to order.
And what specifically does that mean in your line of work? I'm just curious.
Just in looking at what the new products are. I get email blasts all the time. This is, flyers. These are the new products. We can see the manufacturers on our Facebook page to see what they're putting out there. Every once in a while, there's something a little bit crazy. I don't know if there were too many surprises this time.
Well, there wasn't as many surprises, but you did tell me that a company called Pipe Dream is bringing out a new line, and this relates to a news story that we did several podcasts ago.
You did talk about it on the podcast. Yes.
Remember the story about the gal that got busted for doing the sex shows in the library?
Yes.
We met her.
Get out. So she's created a little celebrity thing for herself.
She has. Yep.
Okay. Spill. What's she like? What's she doing now?
She actually, I think she's a little bit new to this, so she seemed a little shy, because you can be on a webcam and do whatever. But when there are all these people talking to you and wanting your picture and stuff, she seemed a little bit reserved.
Okay.
But the company Pipe Dream, which is a manufacturer, brought her in and made blow-up dolls with her picture on the front and vaginas and
so
anal
she's got a
strokers.
vagina out there.
She's going to have a vagina. It's not available yet, but soon.
Okay. All right. Well,
she's moving up in the world.
She's an entrepreneur. Whatever. Did she say anything about her collegiate status at this point in time?
She did not.
I'm guessing she's not on the dean's list.
Probably not.
Maybe his shit list, but not the regular one.
Probably not. I did see an article recently where she may still be going to jail for a year for her public indecency.
Oh.
But she'll have something to fall back on.
You know, she should just sit down, put together some care packages with the new vagina, the new blow-up dolls, send it to all the administrators, and you know,
All will be forgiven.
yeah, beg mercy.
No, and I can understand the shyness because, you know,
Yes.
you know, first of all, if you're going someplace that has salespeople, one, they are not shy. And if you're a salesperson who's going to tell you about a new vibrator line or a new lubricant line or something like that, these are even less shy salespeople.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and so going through there, I can understand that. And Pipe Dream is a very large company. I'm close to 20 years ago. The owner showed up at our office here when we were in St. Louis Park with like a couple of remember an old mimeograph sheet. I swear it's like that. And now they're one of the largest players in town.
Wow.
So they do everything.
Did you guys, either of you, ask her, or did anybody ask her if, when she first, decided to do this webcast from the library, did she go at that with the idea of getting discovered in mind, or what? Did anybody ask her about that sort of thing? She had an end game going in.
I didn't get a chance to. There were people mobbing that booth wanting pictures and stuff, but I did do a little bit of research afterwards, and I think she did. I think she did other videos, and I think she did have the intention of maybe making some money at this.
Sure.
So
that's fine. I'm just curious. And it's amazing how things, like that can take off. Colleen, you know what we really have here, sort of. I mean, I think we could develop the Great Northern Sex, because you did hear about this on our show. And now look at her, just her career taking off. We should be like the news organization for the sex toy industry, don't you think?
Yes, we could go through that. Well, we do have plenty of sources. You know, like I said, after 35 years, there aren't too many people that we can't get a hold of. Although some of the smaller companies we're still have to search around for, but the big ones, no, we know people, we know folks.
Okay, so I'm thinking we got to have our own sex newswire here. We're gonna turn into like the AP.
Can we figure out how to put a ticker on the top of the Facebook page? We'll figure that out.
I'm so glad you said that, because the next thing I wanted to bring up real quick to everybody, because Megan, who swings through the show from time to time, she's a regular. She also does our social media for the Great Northern Sexcast. And for all of you listening, the things that we're going to talk about today, things we've talked about in the past, Megan is an absolute genius at basically making a trail of links on the Great Northern Sexcast Facebook page. Please go ahead and like us. It's very PG. It's not anything that you should be embarrassed or would be embarrassed about your other friends knowing that you hit a like on. But definitely check it out, because there's really funny stuff, and pretty much everything that we're going to hit on the show, Megan will have for you to go and read in its entirety later on. So always thanks to Megan for the amazing job that she does at that.
And as a little incentive, Facebook has changed a lot of their policies for like and share and figuring out who likes you and stuff like that. But we have figured out a way. If you go to the Facebook page later on today, because Megan's working on it right now, and you like and tag a particular photo, it'll probably pin to the top of our page, we will enter you to win a brand new Rabbit Vibe. We're going to run this through April.
Okay, so there you go. And okay, so Colleen, before you've got a doozy of a story, and this one has been making its way through Minnesota, and this is really a lot for the people that are not in Minnesota that pick up our show or download us or what have you. This is unblooming believable. This man named John Robert Lind is in trouble. Okay, but right now, as of the time that what he did happened and made its way through the court system, it's not a sex crime to jerk off into your coworker's coffee. Okay? So, basically, this woman had worked side by side with this man for years. And by the way, watching WCCO TV trying to do this as a TV news package was about one of the funniest things I've ever seen, without saying jack off, you know what I mean, and not using any of the words that say what it really is. That must have taken hours to come up with how they were going to do that, because they never said, did you guys see it?
I didn't, but now I want to watch
it. YouTube it, because the reporter, and it's almost like, and she's normally pretty, lively reporter, the one that covered it. She stepped into prissy face to do this because I could tell she was so freaked out about trying to handle it correctly and not, I'm sure viewers would have just had how could you say spoo on TV? I mean.
So wait a minute. Tampering with your coworker's food is not an issue.
It's an issue. It's just not a sex crime. They tried to tag him.
Oh, okay.
They tried to tag him. Adulteration by, the different things, all of the things that would qualify to require him to register as a sex offender. Under the current law, the judge determined that he could not be classified as such. He's in trouble. Okay?
Yeah, it's gross and disgusting. But if it wasn't witnessed or this or that, I don't know the rules, but I can sort of see where the judge went on this, even though it's really beyond disgusting.
It was proven, though. They did. So it's indisputable. So he was recharged with, what was it? He was recharged with indecent exposure, and they're not sure if he's even going to be convicted. But, I mean, his name is out there, so it's going to be nobody's going to want to work with his butt anymore.
Yeah, there's not something you want to, when you Google that name, that's going to be interesting.
So there is a bill making its way through the current legislative session here, and I love this. And I appreciate the fact that this lawmaker, it's Representative Deborah Hillstrom. She's a Democrat out of Brooklyn Center. She's introducing a bill that going forward, this would be absolutely chargeable and registerable. And, I mean, just beyond the ick factor and the what the hell is wrong with you factor. Yeah. Before we go to Colleen's story, though, a couple things. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. The site that we, I pulled this from, the article about it, made a list. We all have worked in places where there's a community fridge or a kitchen or people that bring it's part of life, right? So they made a list that says colleagues' food that you can legally, as of right now, until this bill passes, ejaculate on in Minnesota, ranked in order. What? So we go through them. Number one is everything left in the fridge overnight.
Right.
So is anybody ever going to leave anything without a padlock in their office ever again after this?
No.
Seriously?
Oh my God. Okay. No, this is one of these things that, we sell sex toys and movies and lingerie and lube and all these things. And, this stuff is in front of our eyes all day long. We have to search our spam files for regular emails. We just have a different job. But even with this different job, I can't come up with stuff like this.
Right.
I do not understand brains that do this. It's mind-boggling. And we'll sit there and go, what is going on?
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Well, let me just challenge you a little bit on this, Colleen, because I think that there are certain people of mindsets out there that would say that your stores and your business encourage this kind of behavior, whereas I say it keeps them in check.
Yeah.
No, I find it fascinating that, anyone that shops at Fantasy Gifts or anyone that shops at, let's say, an Adam and Eve boutique or a place out in California or Babeland or anything like that. These are well-established, long-time companies. Where else do you think they're shopping? You can shop. They can go to the Piggly Wiggly, and they can go to Lund's, and they can go to Target, and they can go to Walmart, and they can go to Home Depot, and they go to Lowe's, and they go to the Gap. You can go online. You can sit on your phone right now and go shopping anywhere you want, and you could do this for a long time. The idea that because, a vibrator exists is an issue is just, it's mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. And people are still trying to legislate against it. There are states. Sarah came back. One of the things she learned is there are places we can't send things that are new.
What?
It is 2015.
You're kidding
In
me.
a lot of places.
What happened, Sarah? Tell us what you came upon.
Well, I was talking to, because through our affiliate site, they have more information on where we knew that there were certain states that we're not supposed to send DVDs to.
Okay.
And things like that. But I came back with this much longer list of places we can't even send toys to.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you have any of those specifically?
Yep.
Where they're deprived and in desperate need of sexual aids? Where?
Well, the first list is the states where we cannot ship DVDs to. And that is Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Utah.
And funny, they all screw their cousins. But I digress. Go ahead.
And then there are a list of cities where we can't ship DVDs to, and that is Jacksonville, Gainesville, Panama City, Pensacola, Tallahassee. Those are all Florida. And then Indianapolis and South Bend. And then Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That was a surprise to us.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then what else have you got on there?
And then the sad toy list. There's Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, Utah, and Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, what I find fascinating is that you cannot go to Texas without seeing a titty bar on every damn corner. But somehow buying a vibrator is a problem.
So I if you don't know, that's cool. But I mean, are you not allowed to buy? I mean, do they not allow stores in those states either?
Some of them have stores.
Okay.
But a lot of them, they're still don't have stores. And we're just, it just, a lot of these places I knew about, but some of these are new. And I'm like, it is 2015.
That's unbelievable. Well,
There's been times where I have emailed, because we know about Alabama, and we've had someone order from Alabama, and I've had to email them and say, I'm sorry, because of your state laws, we can't send you these items. And they have no idea. And
Wow.
they're like, what? What are you talking about? So it's news to them, too.
wow. That's amazing. Well, Colleen, you had a story about someone using the establishment of a store such as yours or in the same similar category as a threat somewhere. You mentioned that in an email to me yesterday.
Well, there's been a very, very local story lately about a developer in Wayzata that wants to build a 5-story building.
Okay.
They won't let them build a 5-story building because it's only zoned for 3. I don't know a lot of the details, but I do know that there was a variance at the end of the city. But the rules in Minnesota have changed a lot. They were giving variances, right and left and all this sort of stuff, but it's really been tightened down. And so instead of, obviously this guy's being incredibly frustrated. But here's the deal. He decided that to show his displeasure by painting the building bright pink and putting a XXX video sign in front of it.
Okay.
Implying that if you won't let me build my 5-story building, I will put an adult store here. And I'm like, I looked at that. I mean, I knew immediately there was no way in hell because I knew where the building was. My parents used to live in Wayzata. I knew where it was. There was no, and I knew what the rules were in Wayzata because, just for entertainment value, I look up things like that. There was no way in hell an adult store was going over there. But they're using my business as per se, a risque store because when people see XXX, they assume booze and they assume magazines and all these sort of things. It's another like poke. Not only were they, annoying, putting the city up in arms and getting all the pearl collectors all upset. Once again, it implies that there's something wrong with buying a vibrator, or there's something wrong with buying a lube, or something wrong with buying a masturbator. And it's never going to happen. I mean, more than likely the rules there are probably unconstitutional. They are in most cities, but nobody has to, a politician's never going to say this is unconstitutional and I'm going to, because then they're for porn. Oh,
right. They get branded.
Yeah, they get branded. And then nobody else has. And so you have to go through the court system. So a judge can say it's unconstitutional and they can all wash their hands of it and say the judge made us do this. But, that's not a good place to put it. You need more traffic than that anyway.
Yeah, no.
And then, and so I decided, this is local. So I Googled and I found several other places. One place in let's see, this was in the Washington Post, in Old Town Alexandria, out east, there was a store that they couldn't get the variance and the zoning they want. So they did, in fact, open, and they always call it a sex shop. There is no sex happening in the sex shop. Just like there's no champagne in the champagne room. There is no sex in the sex shop. And so it's not an unheard of thing, but it just, it's another, black eye
Yeah.
Another, or when someone pushes the rules or this or that, it's just frustrating. But I'm like I have to admit though, I do sort of like the color pink that he painted the building.
Was it nice?
I like pink. These guys know me. They know I like pink and purple and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's too bad. And I mean, I can see how 35 years in, and you've grown up with the industry, Colleen, and how long? Okay, how long have you worked with Fantasy Gifts, Tara?
I think we're going on 11 years.
Okay, and what about you, Sarah?
15 years.
See, I mean, this is an amazing thing. I mean, how many people, seriously, do you know, I'm asking this to the audience now, that have that kind of longevity with companies in any industry anymore, which says so much about this company. And it cracks me up that, I mean, because you guys buck the trends when it comes to, I love the work environment there when I get to visit you guys. And you've got the family-friendly sort of area where people bring their kids. It's amazing. What are you doing?
Well, I just happened to look down and notice that a puppy who's visiting is sleeping, and it's incredibly adorable. So I was sharing it.
Oh, yes, the studio dog is asleep. Yeah, so, well, I've got some other news on a little bit lighter note before we dive into. We've got we might not even get through everything today because we've got so much, which is fine. There's always time and a lot of sex to talk about. One of the stories that I found that just, I don't know, cracked me up. It's probably going to fall completely flat, but bedtime paranoia. 3 really great reasons to freak out and check every nook, cranny, and crevice of your house before you go to sleep. A 61-year-old Palm Springs woman was trying to get her cats. She was trying to round them up for whatever reason. Maybe she locks them in a certain portion of the house or whatever. So she's feeling under the bed for them, and she, cat toy, jingle balls, whatever. And then the next thing, it's human skin, and the 25-year-old man that was interrupted in process of robbing her was under her bed.
Oh my God.
Thank God, he fled. They eventually caught him or whatever. He did not hurt her, but she had absolutely no idea, saw no evidence of this. So this completely freaked me out. We're all gals in the room today. So I'm Tara sitting, has big eyeballs going on right now. So then when reporting this story, they went back and did a little research. Okay, 2013, not a joke, actually happened in a lodge in Zimbabwe, like a nice hotel. A man found that an 8-foot crocodile had been hiding under his bed for over 8 hours as he slept. It's like you get up to go to the bathroom and there's something a little rough that brushes up against your ankle, and it's a crocodile.
A lot of people hide their sex toys and stuff under the bed. And, if you were searching around for something and you accidentally, came up with a bloody stump because the crocodile, that's a big bed.
That's a big bed. It's a big bed. And finally, for their last case in point for checking into the bed before you go to sleep, they noted the case of it in 2011 in Guatemala. A woman awakened as her house was beginning to fall into a sinkhole that originated right directly under her bed. And this happens in the This has happened recently in the United States too. So check under the bed, people. Especially if you're getting busy. Can you imagine you're getting busy and the crocodile comes out?
No. Well, I'm just figuring.
You don't want your tender parts out when that happens.
That is not okay.
Don't store stuff you want under the bed. If that's where your gun safe is, or your sex toy box, or the pictures with or the family albums, I'm thinking under the bed is not a good spot to put something.
Or putting any body part under there in an effort to sweep the area. I would get a broom. I'm thinking a broom, okay, and poke around. Okay. Next up, we had a very near miss for 300 lobsters, no, rather 30,000 pounds of lobster. That would be 1.4 tons of live lobster from Canada, crashed in Portland, Maine, on their way to market. The truck spun out, and they were able to recover them. There were no lobster deaths, but the ironic part of the story is they were saved so that they could go die anyway in a boiling pot of water.
That's horrible.
I know.
It's sort of sad, like when you see the beer truck over that rolled over. Or like that. Beer down. Well, just think about all the romantic dinners that were saved.
Yeah, but I lived in Maine for a couple of years, and I went to buy some live lobster, and I just couldn't do it. They were too cute. I couldn't boil them. So I feel really bad.
Did you just go to a restaurant and have somebody else do it?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Wouldn't eat them.
No, I am perfectly. I mean, I understand that food does not arrive in the styrofoam packaging, but I'm pretty sure I could not stuff a lobster into a boiling pot of water, or, as I've read, just taking the chef knife and just cutting it right in half.
Yeah,
that would be a little bit more violent than I could handle.
Than just
but it really
scalding
is
to death.
damn tasty. Although I prefer shrimp,
Do you?
crab,
Oh.
the lobster, but the lobster.
If you want the sanitized version of this, I'll tell you something that works great. Get a lobster tail and do it on the grill. That does not suck. That's really good. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Wisconsin. What's your take on Wisconsin?
I'm from Wisconsin.
What part?
Northern Wisconsin.
Okay, a little bit. I lived in the Milwaukee area for 2 years, and it was kind of nutty and just a little different. And Western Wisconsins are like Minnesotans, so I feel very much. But Packer, get me into that. Are you a Packer freak?
I kind of have to be.
Okay, you can't.
I just find we are equal opportunity warehouse. I have no. Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
I have.
Oh, my fiance is a big Vikings. Everything Minnesota, so
Okay.
we got a little rivalry going on at the office.
It is sort of fun. It's just like, we'll get some free stuff from some of our suppliers sometimes, and she'll go back and forth between Vikers. There we go. I've created a
that.
new word.
I like it.
Viking and Packers merchandise, so we can equal opportunity there.
I'm beginning to think the only way that the Vikings will ever win a Super Bowl is if they were to merge with the Packers. And I think we should call that merged team the Vikers. That would be the best chance that Minnesota has of getting a championship. We should think about that, Ziggy.
Well, no. See, I
interested.
figure what you need to do is you just need to make all the Vikings female, because female teams in the state seem to win things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lynx win. The Gopher women's hockey team just won. Yeah, they kick ass.
Well, maybe they ought to embrace that. Maybe they ought to play in drag. Maybe they ought to modify it because they're already called the Vi Queens. Right. I mean, they maybe should just wrap themselves into that, and maybe they would win. I don't know.
Yeah, there are several women's football teams in town, so I'm sure that there would be plenty of folks that could play.
Well, the Badgers is who I'm going after right here. And this is absolutely freaking hysterical. And we've got to get Megan to post the link to this story up on the Great Northern Sexcast Facebook page. They're photos. I don't know if I can say this without cracking up because the image is in my head. Pictures of photocopied cats are popping up around the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So they're taking cats and putting them. Remember how people used to sit on copy machines and do their butts? They're doing cats. And the pictures are hilarious. I do not believe, it might be momentarily uncomfortable. I do not believe that the cats are being harmed, but I'm sure they're not real thrilled about it. But these pictures, you've got to look them up. It is absolutely.
Does it say, like, have you seen my pussy?
Oh, well, I called it copycats. Yours is better. Yours is better. Yours is funny.
No, I mean, there's a reason they photocopied the cats, because the people could use the word pussy. I mean, there's just, it's a funny word.
The official head of communications for the libraries there saying, we do not believe that the cats were photocopied here. They're like trying to fend off the PETA, stuff and all of that kind of. I think that is so funny with the copycats. You gotta look that one up.
I have several friends who live in Wisconsin. I'm gonna have to get a hold of them and see if they've ever
I
photocopied their
go
cat.
to school in Madison, and there's some crazy hijinks every once in a while down there.
That's a pretty cool school. And this I'm like, of course it's Madison. Of course it is.
Right.
Yeah. I think the last time I was there when we drove a friend down to go to school there, so that would have been 30 some years ago. We had a store there for a while, but it was we have a very small choice of where to put a store, and it was just set back a little bit. You couldn't see it. Okay. And so we just, damn. But, not everything works. There's no 100%. You learn a lot, when you screw up too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, I would love to get your opinion. I found something, and this was written by the author of this, was hysterically funny. And I've got a couple quotes from her, but the 6 most overrated sex positions. And I really want to know, agree, disagree, and any thoughts and comments that you have on this one, okay? In the number 1 position was 69. And
it's just too distracting. I'm sorry. I will just be honest.
One thing at a time.
It is just too damn distracting.
Her complaint is that she doesn't want to have to think about multitasking when she's getting off.
No. Yeah. It is. I swear. I swear. I think it is a popular fallacy that this is even a functional concept. There might be people that like multitasking that way. No, no, too much work.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't disagree. I'm in. So we're gonna agree. We're gonna give that one 100%.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Number 2, the reverse cowgirl.
Overrated.
Overrated. What they need to do, I think, is to figure out some way for like anything to hold on to. because after a while, your balance is just like, unless you are a person who does about 1,000 squats. Yeah, it's going through there, but yeah.
Voting?
After a while, you're like,
I would say not overrated.
Okay.
I think it's overrated.
Okay.
I don't want to look at feet.
That's
That's another good point, actually.
And that you are so, Tara's got it. She said lack of eye contact. If I can't see the person I'm screwing, then
well, maybe that would work better in a group setting because if there's someone in front of you.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a couple thing. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to give it a partial agreement there, but leave it open for other considerations there with modifications. Number 3, the Eiffel Tower. Do you guys know what this is?
You know,
I don't.
oh my
I
God,
feel
we
like
just
I've
we
heard
just
of
had
it.
this conversation Liz was talking about because of course
you did at
Liz,
lunch yesterday, right?
We did. Yeah, something about I'm going to have to go with overrated because if I haven't heard about it, I'm just going to make shit up.
I know I have, but I can't remember what it was.
I don't know.
Do you know what it is? Okay. It's a picture of a girl with 2 guys, and she's got one in each end. And the 2 guys are kind of on their knees, and she's obviously on all 4s, okay? And they're high-fiving, which is what creates the tower. I'm sorry, but that's just creepy.
It
you know,
is.
if you want to have a bromance, but don't do it with all your stuff in, I'm not going to be holding on to your things for you.
Not okay.
I really like the fact that it was probably, let's see, today, was it Monday or Friday that this came up in conversation? I'm like, now it's going to keep coming up in conversation.
See? La Tour Eiffel. Well, and the picture has this, one of the guys is just, oh my God, he's got a beret on and he's got this preposterous mustache. And I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, hell no. No.
Not even a lumbersexual beard, just just the stash?
There's
Yeah.
no. Okay. Number 4 of the 6 most overrated sex positions. This one was a little bit of a surprise. I can't wait to see what you guys think. Tantric sex.
I mean, the whole breathing through. I mean, if I'm understanding is you're breathing through it, it's probably overrated because nobody has the patience for it.
Sarah, thoughts?
I guess for me it seems overrated, but it might depend on the person. If that's what works for you. But
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of agree
it
with
seems
that.
like
I think
too much for me.
it does take a lot of time to really get into those things.
but I can't imagine that. That's like a whole method versus a position. So I think that's
Right.
why I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how you go through there.
I gotta read you what she said. This slays me. Okay. The author said, I once had the lack of pleasure of dating someone who was very into tantric sex. Quoting now, I made the 2-hour mark and told him that tantric sex was not for me. I had a job. I needed to return all those text messages that I had heard going off during the sexcapade, and I desperately needed a sandwich. All that time spent gazing into each other's eyes, trying to suppress an orgasm or whatever, pass.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's get it over with.
no, there is nothing wrong. You've got your longer sessions, and there's nothing wrong with a really good quickie. It depends on where you are, but as a constant thing, maybe that's it. Maybe they're talking about just this is what it always is. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to get hands down agreement on number 5, which is facials.
I mean, if you're going to shower right afterwards, or if you're in the shower, yeah, I certainly don't want to.
Just don't get it in the eyes.
yes.
Okay, so we're neutral on that one.
It's not the most. No, I mean, I think it's overrated, but I think you should let someone do it once,
Okay. All right.
just because.
It's kind of a bucket list item for you, Tara?
No, I mean, I can understand. Yeah, I mean, there's just extra work. That's probably why, because you got to figure out. Do I want to wash the sheets when I'm done with this? Because it's gonna, then there's the whole shower. You got to, your hair is gonna have to be washed. Like I said, if it gets on the pillowcases and all that sort of stuff, I mean, it's just there's more work.
Right.
Yeah,
You just have.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of work involved in a lot of these. I think that's one of the reasons they're probably overrated. Is that in theory
They sound great.
they sound great, and then you got to clean up.
Well, the last one, funny you should say that, is food sex. And
Oh, yeast infection? No, no.
well,
Yeah.
this one pointed out
No on the food side.
peanut
No.
allergies.
Oh.
No, I mean, there are folks that have very serious allergies, and
Yes.
if you don't even want to be smooching them after you've had shrimp or peanuts
Right.
or whatever food you have. I mean, no, and then you smear it, and then yeast infections, and then no.
Tara, you really look like you
I
want
was
to say
going to say
something.
because we did talk to some people that when we were down in Florida who have stores that have the booths, which we do not do and do not want to have to deal with. And there was a gentleman who liked to come in with a jar of peanut butter and smear it all over himself when he went into. He had like a peanut butter fetish, which I think is really strange.
But that's on himself.
It is on himself.
Yeah, and most men are not going to have a lot of issues with yeast infections, or and obviously he doesn't have a peanut allergy.
I hope
I mean,
not.
maybe a little, maybe a little whipped cream on the boobs.
Okay.
But really, food down south.
No,
generally not.
We're not recommending that.
Yeah. Okay. So we agree on this. We have so much material today. I know, Colleen, you brought in that you've got some stuff that we really want to get to, and the rest of the stuff we can hold for a future show because I want to make sure that we get to. You brought the fact that you came in with a copy of Cosmo today.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because we have a lot of times we're wondering when we start getting a lot of searches on our website where people are finding out about this. And then, I haven't picked up a Cosmo in years. So we got got a subscription to the office. Yes, an actual in my hand paper magazine. And I'm giggling over it because right on the front of it is 33 sex secrets, the smoking hot up against the wall passion you deserve. So far, I have flipped through this. I haven't found something that's actually marked that. So now I'm going to have to go through and figure out whether all the different articles on sex, they have a whole back section on sex. I did not know this. And, but the one that got me was is everyone having anal without me?
That's the title of an article. I'm looking right at it.
That is the title of the article, in which they have also photographed a whole bunch of those little trolls from the 70s because nothing's hotter than troll sex. What are they thinking?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good
Oh, my God. But it is a lovely article that has what's nice about it is that and if you're looking online or if you get it or if you go through there, that it does say that a lot of folks are being pressured into it, and that's not a good thing. It goes back to the conversation about knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if you accidentally slip and go there, no one's having a good time.
Yeah.
No, that's just not something that you're going to want to do.
You can't spring that on someone.
Yeah, you do not. And so it talks about proper lubrication. It talks about proper foreplay. It talks about the, sort of the anatomy and what's going on. So it's sort of a nice primer. I mean, and we sell a lot of books that go farther into it and have this. But if you were interested, it's right online there. And then I'm going through too, and then they have a sexual Q&A section. And the question was, and I'm going to put this out there in case anyone doesn't know this, was I had sex and the condom got stuck inside me. I didn't find it until later that day. Could I get pregnant from this? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
In case you weren't, sure about that.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. And I said, this is what's in Cosmo. And, and people are frustrated at fantasy gifts. And there isn't too much, that you can't find there. But they've mentioned Uberlube, which we sell. So I'm sure we'll probably getting some more requests on Uberlube. Mm-hmm. They've mentioned a Lalo product that I have available special order right now. Something we may or may not get in the future.
Okay.
But it's handy. We also picked up Men's Health because, of course, I'm equal opportunity. I'm going to find out what's, going on in men's sex land, too.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. In fact, we actually have a subscription to it. And it just, the latest issue just showed up. I wanted to put it directly into the trash because Justin Bieber is on the cover.
Is that who that was?
Yeah. Yeah. I find him to be a little troll, actually. And he's actually looks fine, but it's just, he's such a douchebag. On every imaginable level. But no, Men's Health has a lot of really interesting stuff, and I'll dig through and see what I can report. But it's interesting how mainstream so many of these things. I mean, the fact that this is in Cosmo, and that's one of the biggest selling magazines out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is in Cosmo. Okay, I bet you anything, you could probably go in Alabama and buy the Cosmo, but you can't buy the butt plug.
Yeah, yeah.
just the morality police sometimes about what consenting adults, and I'll rephrase that here. I'm always talking about consenting adults at this time. When we're talking about this,
sure.
But it was just fascinating because I'm like, I knew, a lot of times I'm like, I'm so used to talking about this stuff or knowing about it.
Yep.
That and then I go to Cosmo and I said, well, so is everybody else.
Clearly. Now, you guys have a lot of fantasy gifts definitely in the stores, and pretty much anything in the stores you can also get online. But do you have any sort of a primer for anal sex in the stores?
Yeah,
how-tos?
There's a couple of anal. I think if you go down the Great Northern Sexcast, you can list a few, but I'll put a couple more links to some of the newer ones that we've got in. We rotate them around. There's a lot of material out there, and so it's. I'm not sure which titles we have, and I'll check when we get back.
Yeah. We have the Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, and there is another anal sex book, which the title is escaping me at the moment. There were a couple of them because the interest in it just has grown over the years, so I try and get more and more. And then our employees are actually really good at educating people about that sort of thing, too.
Yeah, because you just don't want to do what you see in the movies, because there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on with the adult movies. So, you just can't.
It looks like they just jump right into it, which is not the case, is what you're saying. Yeah, that's important. Well, guys, let's do this. Let's jump a couple of decades. And I found a couple things here, and I love Colleen's insight on this sort of thing. We're going to save our 21 sex tips that science says actually work for a future show, because I think that's going to take up the entire show, quite frankly, because some of them are they're really good. They're really good. So we'll do those going forward. One of the things was that people over 70, there's been a UK study really diving into sex after the age of 70, which comes up periodically here on the show because of the issues that evolve with bodies as we age and things like that, and what Fantasy Gifts has that can help, right? Well, the good news from the University of Manchester, Nat Sen Social Research Center, they did a survey, and so here's what they found. They surveyed 7,000 people, and more than half of the men, 54%, and nearly 1/3 of the women who were over 70 said they were sexually active. And 1/3 of the entire group said it was frequent sex, at least twice a month at their point. That's what they consider to be frequent. And this is the first research of its kind to include people actually over the age of 80. So everybody wasn't hovering necessarily right in that 70 mark. I mean, it was 70 and up. So I thought that was pretty cool.
No, I mean, I can see that because I know that, at almost 50, that I don't consider myself old. And everybody else is always 20 or 30 years older than you are. And there's a large group. And you just consider, I think people are staying younger longer. Yeah. I mean, they expect to be sexual longer. They expect to be physically active in general longer. I know that the customers we had when we first opened are now in their 70s, and they're still, still shopping with us. I mean, Sarah will get phone calls sometimes because she, answers the 800 number too. I told you she answers the phone a lot, and she'll guide. She'll get questions about products, which is the best thing, and they feel, comfortable talking, and saying, "This might be my first item." It's, yeah.
And I see, we require people to put in their birth dates when they're ordering. So I see the years that people are entering, and there's definitely some older people that are ordering.
And we joke about the term job satisfaction with regard to the Fantasy Gifts crew here, but I'm not being glib at all. Doesn't it make you feel kind of good, though, if you talk to someone who's a little bit older, who's calling and taking the time to ask questions and try to find, doesn't that kind of feel nice to be able to help people like that sometimes?
It does. I think we all feel that way. I think the clerks in the store, too, when they can help people find the right thing, and,
if they can make someone feel at ease. And, because a lot of times, depending on what generation or how you were brought up, you're coming in with a lot of shame over the fact that you are a sexual person. Especially women who are not supposed to be sexual of a certain age and stuff like that. And for them to get older and, just be blatant, not give a fuck anymore. To say, I'm going to take care of me. We're seeing a lot of that.
I've noticed that at the events, too, that we'll do sometimes. It'll be like mother and daughter.
Yep.
Mother's a little bit older. they have no shame. It's
Yeah.
their daughters are embarrassed that their mom's looking at sex toys, and
She's
it's
like,
oh,
how do
whatever.
you think you got here?
Right. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, one other thing, there was a U.S. study of people 57 to 85. More than 25% of those up to age 85 reported still having sex on a semi-frequent basis, at least minimally semi-frequent. But the two downsides were the most frequently reported problems among women, ability to become aroused, which we've talked about that, and men, erectile dysfunction. And then also the other thing that was noted in this article is the uptick in STDs in the older age groups, because they didn't talk about it like everybody else was not raised with the condom thing. And, you know.
Yeah, I've seen several articles and information over the fact that there are a lot of retirement communities that are actually having sex education classes because, I mean, honestly, there are more women than there are men in some of the upper age brackets. Some of these men are very popular, and no one's they are having a sexual relationship with multiple partners, but they've never. I mean, maybe when they were, in their 20s and but they haven't worn a condom or talked about sex or sexual transmitted diseases. I mean, I'm sure the words, and they may have known the word syphilis, but chlamydia, gonorrhea. I mean, all these are coming back in the in general because they've, they're just unaware.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not a part of what they have been doing. Or, if they'd been the same person for 50 years, it doesn't even occur to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's condom use at. Unless you are in a monogamous known relationship, you wear a condom.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Let's take our last few minutes here, guys, and because I found these kind of when I was surfing around and they seem to sort of go together. There was the most common sex myths about baby boomers, and this group of people is humongous, and they are aging, and they've always been like the big marketing focus. Now the group you always hear about, it seems like, is the millennials, but still baby boomers, very influential. So the first one was, at a certain point in a relationship, sex no longer matters, and they absolutely dispute that in the article. Do you
That's a
agree?
load of crap.
Okay. Colleen sums it up. Sums it right up.
Sorry, that's a load of crap.
I love it. Okay.
I may not officially be a boomer, but that's a load of crap. I'm 6 months short of being a boomer. I'm the first of the ignored Generation X.
I know. Doesn't that piss you off? You hear about the Y, you hear about the millennials, and baby,
But
and
the
nobody talks about us.
millennials is a huge group,
It is.
and the boomers are a huge group, and us millennials are sort of squashed in
The
between.
Xers. We're the Xers.
Or Xers, yeah.
Yep. So as people age, they lose their desire to have sex. I think that previous story just pretty much refuted that. A woman loses her ability to achieve an orgasm as she ages. Colleen, go.
Okay, I had to go back to that's a load of crap again, or bullshit. How would you to say it? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, too, if you do find yourself slowing down or having difficulty, get help.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Go to Fantasy Gifts. Talk to these great people. And Sarah will
Yeah.
take your phone call.
Yeah.
You can call Sarah. Doesn't she sound so approachable? She's got that sweet voice. And she'll talk to you about butt plugs. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
No, yeah, like I said, that's the one thing that the employees will, that's what they're there for, is to, answer questions. And there is, not that anyone's going to be lascivious or rude about it, but, it'd be an honest, piece of information that's given to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That comes through, I think, on every show and every visit with the store. This one's kind of serious. This next one. This is a sexual myth about baby boomers. Sex problems dissipate with an empty nest. And this article is saying, no, actually not. Now that you don't have kids to deal with and everything else, you have a lot more time to deal with each other. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people find themselves, at a screeching halt in the relationship, and how you have to keep working with it. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, just because the kids are out of the house doesn't, now they're staring at each other going, now what do we talk about? And it's not, to some extent, it's once again a communication issue, which, gets back down to sex at most point. But if you can't communicate, if you're staring at each other going, we're no longer figuring out who's getting child A to soccer and child B to ballet and child C to football, and you haven't up to that point had regular conversations about sex or money or anything, staring at each other without that buffer is not going to help anything.
Right. So they're encouraging people to go on an active path of reacquainting yourselves once you are moving toward the empty net. Start before they leave is what they're encouraging. And I think that makes, tons and tons of sense. And the last one is really interesting, and this is called a softball. Okay. This one, the last sex myth about baby boomers is a midlife crisis is a marital death sentence. And they're saying, look, yeah, some of those things can lead to divorce or severe chasms in a relationship. But the suggestion is to combat feelings of boredom and wanderlust. Couples should take advantage of this time to explore each other sexually in new ways.
What? Sorry. That was a lot of words. If you do have more time, you probably can go down the fantasy land, because if you're trying to get a quickie in between all of this other stuff, you don't really get to talk about, what if we wanted to try this? Or, what if we did sneak off to, while you were at a friend's party, you locked yourself in this downstairs bathroom and, did it really fast. That was never going to happen before.
Right.
But if you actually have more time, if you kept communicating, I bet you can go a little bit farther in what you want.
Well, yeah. And in this part, this one actually is dealing with the midlife crisis assumption here. But the last line of the story is the validation of your existence. It says, incorporate fantasies, toys, and role-playing scenarios to spice things up and turn a midlife crisis into an adventure.
Oh, yeah. I'm all over that.
I knew you would be.
No, we do find that folks are in shopping together, and they'll pick things out together, or they know, or if they've shopped together, then they know let's go up to the next level, and or if you've moved on and you've got new partners, then you need new toys. You don't share the toys.
No. No, everybody got the look on their faces. They went around the room right now, and the heads are shaking. You can't see it, but oh my. Well, gosh, a lot of ground covered, and so much more really left for a future show. So next week we'll have the special guest, the Sexpert. She's a great gal, very insightful. She's got a really interesting background in psychology. She knows her stuff, and she's got the pedigree to prove it. And then following that, we will have April Cipriano in tantric business. So we got a potpourri coming up, Colleen.
I'm looking very much forward to it.
I know you are. So thanks, Sarah and Tara. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Great Northern Sexcast, episode 13 in the can. We'll be back with you guys next week. Have a good one, everybody.